All right. Liz, would you state your full name for the record, please?
Christina Valdez.
And what's your relationship to Nicole?
I'm Nicole's grandmother.
Okay.
Her father was my son.
And what does she call you?
She called me grandma.
And what was your son's name?
Miguel Noe Garza.
And he's passed away.
He passed away in 2018.
Okay. And your granddaughter, Nicole, how old is she?
She's 13.
Okay. And so she was born in 2008.
Correct.
And what was mom's name?
Michelle.
What was her last name?
Michelle Camacho.
Were you at the hospital when Nicole was born?
We went to visit right when she was newborn. Yes.
Okay. And after her birth, for the preceding 7 months, tell me how often you saw Nicole.
Not for the next 7 months. The next time we went to see her at the hospital, she was no longer there, or they didn't allow us to see her. So we don't know, but we suspect Nicole was in a foster home for those 7 months.
Okay. So why do you suspect that?
On her first birthday, a foster family came to celebrate Nicole's birthday at our house.
Okay. And do you know where she was in this foster home? What city?
Not really. No,
Okay.
no, my son had mentioned that Michelle and Nicole were in San Antonio with an aunt, but we didn't really hear from Michelle at that time.
Okay.
But my son did bring me pictures of Nicole
Okay.
at that time.
And around 7 months, what happened?
Yes, Nicole finally came back. I guess Michelle also came back, and so Nicole started staying at my house.
Okay. When you say came back
Came back from wherever she was, because we didn't see her for 7 months.
into the Houston
To the
area,
Houston area.
Okay.
right. Mhm.
and do you know why they came back?
No,
Okay.
don't know.
And what happened? Did you have a crib and other supplies for Nicole?
We got a crib. One of my cousins helped me to bring it home. Got a crib, and ever since then, Nicole's had everything she needs at my house.
Did she have her own space at your home then?
At that time, she shared my room.
Okay.
My daughter was still living at home at that time.
And you had diapers and everything you
Everything,
need for the
yes,
baby?
because Nicole would be dropped off just all of a sudden and at any moment and without anything. And so I started just keeping everything on hand that was necessary.
And who would drop her off?
I think maybe my son, I don't remember.
But I mean, while she was 7 months old, throughout elementary school, who would drop her off?
Mostly my son,
Okay.
mostly, but sometimes her mom.
Okay. And how often did she stay over at your house?
Well, when she was a baby, she actually stayed weeks at a time. She, overnight and I'd take care of her all week. And then my son would see her on weekends because he worked.
Your Honor, I object to this line of questioning. Whenever this child was 1 or 2 years old, there is nobody here to disagree with what she's saying. Michelle has passed away. Her son has passed away. I
Your Honor, I would request a legal objection.
Well, the objection's overruled. I'm going to allow a little bit of the history for the court, but it is, I understand, 12 years ago. But I'm going to allow a little bit of that testimony. So objections overruled. You may continue, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Judge. Okay, so she stayed over your house for weeks at a time, you
Yes,
stated.
yes.
And how long did that last? So we started with her being about 7 months old.
Right, until she started going to school.
And when was that?
So, pre-K, her pre-K then.
Okay. And while she was in pre-K, how often did she stay at your house?
I don't remember how, her parents never had a set schedule for me, so I've been on call 24/7 my
Okay.
whole, since Nicole was born. Or
Approx-
since 7 months rather. Mhm.
How many nights did she stay over while she was in elementary school?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
Okay,
I don't remember, but she was in and out of my house all the time, so.
okay.
mhm.
Did she come on the weekends?
I'm afraid I don't remember. I just know that she was there all the time. And then when she was in elementary, she was dropped off at my house after school. And then
Okay.
And sometimes she'd spend the night, even during the week, and sometimes she'd go home. So there was no set schedule. So it was,
Well, while she was in elementary school, did Nicole ever stay for weeks at a time?
there was a time when my son, Michelle, and Nicole stayed with my mom for over a month.
Okay. Did she ever stay for weeks at a time at your home?
With my house, at my house, I don't remember.
Okay.
It's very likely, like I said, there was no set schedule. She would just come and stay, and sometimes, yes, sometimes a long time, and sometimes
Okay.
overnight.
Where did Nicole have her first birthday party?
Her first birthday party was at my house,
Okay. And was your son close with Nicole?
very close.
And just for a little while or throughout her entire life?
The whole time,
Okay.
her entire life, they were very close. He was her world.
And where do you live right now?
Right now, I live at 25111 Rusty Beach Court here in Richmond, Texas.
In Richmond, okay. And when did you move there?
Moved it this summer in, I think it was in August.
Okay, and before that you lived in Houston?
But before that, I lived for 38 years in Houston, the
Okay.
same address.
While Miguel was alive, did he work?
Yes, he did all the time. He was a very good provider.
Okay. And did you have a good relationship with Nicole's mom, Michelle?
But Michelle, she kept her distance from us. We tried our best to welcome her and invite her, and she would come over sometimes. And
Did you ever have a falling out with her?
no, not really.
Okay,
Not really. She just kind of kept her distance.
but she would sometimes even drop off Nicole?
Yes,
with
yes,
you.
definitely.
Okay.
And she'd come over sometimes just to sit.
Did she and Miguel live with you at any point?
Not with me, but my mom's house is was on the same property, so
Okay.
same address.
Okay, and were there times that Miguel would ask you to watch Nicole or pick her up from school?
Oh, yes,
And did you always do it?
always.
Okay, and how about Michelle? Were there times that she asked you to watch Nicole or pick up
As
Nicole
well,
from
yes,
school?
she did.
Were Miguel and Michelle married?
Yeah, they were common law marriage.
Okay, and he called her his
He
wife?
always referred to her as, when he was asked if he was married, he said yes.
Okay, and who received Miguel's life insurance payout when he passed away?
I think Michelle took care of all of that.
Okay. And when Nicole enrolled in school for the first time, where did she go?
She went to the school that was zoned to my house.
And what was that?
At Garden Villas Elementary,
Okay.
up until 5th grade.
And so your name was on the report cards?
Yes. Well, you see,
Your address was on the report
my
cards?
address, yes, my address is on the report.
And,
I know what it says, parent of Nicole Garza.
and was she dropped off at your house after school?
She was, no, not the whole time. I don't remember her later years. I don't remember at first, or if I would go pick her up, I'm afraid I don't remember.
Okay.
But yes,
Were you a stable, constant presence in Nicole's life?
yes, sir, constantly.
Are you still a stable, constant
Still am,
presence?
because I call her every night. and I just.
Ms. Valdez, let me interrupt for just one second. You're
Yes, sir.
anticipating sometimes what Mr. Hunt's going to ask you, and you're starting to
I'm
talk
sorry.
over him at the same time. And there's a machine
Okay.
that's taking down everything that we say. And it's very important that you
Yes.
let him finish his question before you start answering, so that the machine can take a proper record, and it helps the other attorney and the court follow along with the testimony. So just give a brief
Yes, sir.
pause before you start your answers. Thank you. You may continue, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. All right, let's take a look at some photos. Your Honor, with your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
You may.
All right, can you show me what we're looking at and what's been marked as P16?
That's Nicole as a baby. And it looks like when she was first at my house.
And what are you doing?
It looks like she just came out of her bath, giving her bath.
Okay. And did you often help give her baths?
Oh, yes, well, she was stayed at my house, like I say, weeks at a time, day and night.
Okay.
Take care of her.
And this is another picture of you with Nicole.
Right. She's a baby.
And another.
I'm introducing her to books. She loved books.
And what was your profession before you
I
retired?
was an elementary teacher
And how long did you do that?
for 34 years.
And about how old is Nicole here?
Oh, she's a toddler there. It looks like maybe a year and a half, maybe.
Okay. All right, I'm going to share what's been marked as P19. All right, what are we looking at here?
But she received honor roll, and this is at her Pasadena Middle School, at Rick Snyder Middle School.
Did she often get on the honor roll?
Honor roll was, I don't know that she even, I think if she had tried, she would have, but she did make good grades, and
Okay.
she did make, but not often honor roll.
Did you often attend events at her school?
Oh, yes, all the time.
Up until around when?
I guess at that time, maybe possibly, that was 2018, 2019, that was 2019, so
Okay.
up until then. Yeah.
And here,
Here
what are
we're
we
at my
looking at?
house.
Okay. And here?
Here we went to the Theater Open House District. They have performances and to show what different events the theaters are going to host.
All righty. And I'm going to share what's been marked as P18.
She still has her training wheels there.
Hold on
I'm
one
sorry,
sec. I
I'm
need to
sorry.
share my screen. It's okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, she still has her training wheels there, and one of my next door neighbors came in and showed her how to ride a bike
So this is at your house?
at my house.
Okay. And what are we looking at here?
Also at my house, and that was a project that she had as a cookbook. And in fact, one of her mom's recipes is included in that
Okay,
cookbook.
all right. We're going to take a look at P17. And let me share. Okay, who's in this picture and what's marked as P17?
Okay, on the left is my mom, and then me, and then my daughter, Lena, and then Nicole. And we were house hunting this summer, so Nicole would go with us, and she helped us
Okay,
look at houses.
where does your mom live?
My mom lives with me,
And how old is she?
and she's just turned 98.
Okay, and how is her health?
Very good,
Good.
better than mine, I think.
And your daughter, Lena,
So
does she live close
she
by?
lives 15 minutes away.
Would you count them as part of your support system?
Definitely. Yes.
How strong is your support system?
Very good. We have a very tight-knit family, and we have lots of family pictures with Nicole with us all the time too.
You had more pictures in addition to the ones we've presented to the court?
Yes, yes, a lot
Okay,
more.
and so we had to cut it down quite a bit, right?
Right.
Okay, and what are we looking at here?
That's on my front porch where we used to live with my little neighbor there, me and Nicole and my mom and Lena.
Okay. All right, and there's a bigger picture of the family.
Yes, this is at my niece's house in Magnolia, and my mom turned 97. That was last January.
And Nicole, would you say that she's pretty close with all of your family
Yes,
members?
she is. Everybody loves Nicole.
Okay. And here,
This is,
last picture for this exhibit.
this is at my mom's house, and my son there with Nicole in the middle, and my cousin and his wife and her and his son, and my sister B and my mom.
Okay. The going to pull up P14. We're looking at, it looks like Nicole on Christmas.
On Christmas
Do you
Day.
know what year that
Yes.
was?
I don't remember what year. She's grown there,
Where,
but she was spend most Christmas Eves at my house.
okay, and where, did she spend Christmas Eve at your house this year?
Not this year.
Okay.
Hold on, I have an Elizabeth Johnson that just joined us.
And that's our witness, Your
Mhm.
Honor.
All right, I don't know how she came back in, but let me put her in the waiting room. Here we go.
Thank you, Judge. All right, I'm going to share final picture here, what's marked as P13. And when was this from?
It was in November, but that's at the Indian Powwow Festival at Trader Joe's, Trader's Village. And we're eating Native American tacos there.
That's this November?
No, it was not this November, so it's before the COVID, because we did not go out much during COVID, so that was probably right
Okay.
before, 2 years ago, maybe.
Okay, here's a picture it looks like was during COVID. When was
Yes,
this from?
Yes, this was at my house during the COVID time, and I think that was right after Nicole's birthday, maybe last year.
Okay,
It was her last birthday.
all right, thank you. Okay. How close does your daughter Lena live to you?
15 minutes away.
Okay, does she often come to your home?
Yes, very.
Okay. And you previously testified that you bought a crib and had all the right supplies for baby Nicole. Does Nicole still have a room in your home?
Yes, ever since then, Nicole has had everything she needs at my house. And now she loves her new room in our new house.
Okay, Your Honor, I'm going to share what's marked as P15. Is this Nicole's room in your house?
It is.
Is this anyone else's room?
Nobody else shares
Okay.
them.
And these are a few more pictures. Those are her books. And these are her clothes in your
Yes, sir.
home.
Right.
And these are more clothes. And she has looks like a desk there to do homework.
Right.
Okay. Would you be ready to have Nicole come and live with you today?
Definitely.
Why do you want Nicole to come and live with you?
First of all, I love her. She's my granddaughter, but I also just want to help her prepare for a good future.
Okay. Do you think it's urgent that she come and live with you?
I do feel it is.
And why do you think that?
I feel I'm the best one to help her, continue in school, especially, prepare her for her future. She's got a good, loving family who loves her and good support, and help her as a person, to grow as a person and to become, just simply that, to prepare her for a good future.
Okay. How often have you spoken with Mr. Gomez, Angel?
A few times, not often.
And before Michelle's passing, would Nicole still regularly come over, Nicole still come over regularly to your home?
She would come often. It was never like I said, regular on the schedule or anything. Sometimes, like after we moved, Nicole came almost every weekend. And then in November, early November was the last time that she came in. She was not allowed to come anymore.
So this past summer, how often did Nicole come over for visits?
Well, she came several weekends and sometimes weekends in a row. I don't remember how,
Okay.
when exactly.
Who would, did you had a good relationship with Michelle until she passed away?
It was amiable. We never had we never had arguments or it was just
Okay. How old was Michelle when she passed?
42.
Was her death sudden?
For us, it was unexpected,
Okay.
but she did let us know that she was very sick. And
Do you know what her cause of death was?
yes,
What was it?
it was cirrhosis of the liver.
Okay. Were you at the hospital the day she passed away?
Yes,
Did you speak with Angel that day?
yes,
And you and your daughter provided a gift basket afterwards?
right.
And how was your conversation with Angel that day?
That day, he promised that I would be able to see Nicole, that she would be able to visit.
And how often has Nicole come to your home since that
Not
day?
once.
To your knowledge, did Nicole ever get therapy after her father passed away?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, how about after her mother passed away?
I would not know.
Do you think it would be in her best interest to get therapy or to at least get assessed by it's okay. Or to at least get assessed by a mental health professional.
Yes, I think that would be very helpful for Nicole.
Have you looked into therapy in case the court does order Nicole to come and live with you?
Yes, I have. I also started a parenting class, and I've also reached out to Catholic Charities. I've not been able to contact them yet, but I've looked online, and then I've been told of other possible resources also.
You've looked up possible therapists in your area.
Yes,
Okay. You have some concerns about Mr. Gomez, is that correct?
yes,
One of them is about school, is that right?
that's correct.
To your knowledge, what are your concerns about school?
Well, I was always concerned about Nicole going to school and about her doing her best and encourage her to read. But I know Michelle herself told me, and Nicole, that Nicole was withdrawn from school in early November. And I don't believe that she had been to school until yesterday.
Okay. And I'm going to, so early November, do you know the date?
November 12th.
November 12th. And so she wasn't back in school until yesterday. So that's approximately 6 or 7 weeks. Is that correct? That she was not in school?
Right.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to share what's been marked as petitioners 11. And what does this, can you see that? What does this Facebook post from Mr. Gomez say? Can you read it?
Got her BC next.
You have to speak up.
I told you, got her BC to next is the SS card. Baby girl is gonna be fine. Now enrolled into Ortiz. I promised you I was gonna handle this.
Okay, so what did you take from this Facebook post when you saw it?
Seems like he tried to get her enrolled in school.
Okay. And this was how long after she was unenrolled?
It says December 6th.
So about how long is that?
Over.
About 3 weeks?
Right.
Okay. We also had concerns about her potentially driving at night. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor,
12.
I'm going to pull up what's been marked as P12. This is a Facebook post from Mr. Gomez, is that correct?
Yes,
And it came with a video, is that right?
yes, sir.
And it's a picture, what is it a picture of?
Of Nicole driving at night. You can hear her voice.
And how old is she?
And she's 13.
Do you think that's appropriate for a 13-year-old?
I do not.
And in the actual message here, Mr. Gomez essentially admits that he's the one who took her driving at night. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You also have concerns about Mr. Gomez's drug use. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up what's marked as P9. And this is a Facebook post from Mr. Gomez, is that correct?
Yes.
And he states here when that pen hits, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what that means?
No, I do not.
Do you believe it might be referring to a vape pen?
I think it might. Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's marked as P8. Okay, again, this is a post from Mr. Gomez, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he posted a picture of a face mask.
Right.
And what does it say on the mask?
My cough is from smoking weed, not the coronavirus.
Okay. And he posted this November 17th, 2021, correct?
Right.
Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's marked as P7. Okay, this is from October 31st, 2021, and it's a Facebook post from Mr. Gomez, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is he posting here?
It says,
Is this a picture of a blunt wrap?
this is blunt wrap.
Okay, and is that paper that's used for rolling marijuana?
I'm not very familiar with
Okay,
the drug paraphernalia, but I was told that it was.
is there a picture of Mike Tyson smoking?
It says Mike Tyson.
Okay. And Mr. Gomez states, I'm a connoisseur about this life, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's marked as P6. This is a Facebook post from Mr. Gomez on October 22nd of 2021, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And this also is a product that has a picture of Mike Tyson smoking on it, is that correct?
Right.
And this appears to be, again, drug paraphernalia, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Gomez stated the deliveries over there pay off, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's at Harlan Drive. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's marked as P5. Is this a Facebook post from December 4th of 2021
Yes, sir.
from Mr. Gomez?
Yes, sir.
And he states, my fam from the motherland put it down. I don't have to go all the way to LA to get my McIte. I'm so in need of this now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's posted what appears to be a picture of a cannabis product. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the logo of the company looks like a cannabis leaf. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then he has vials of what look like oil, where it states cannabis oil. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then also one that's indica cannabis pre-roll. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's marked as P4. This is from a Facebook post from Mr. Gomez on October 16th, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And this one has a picture of a product called Zerbert here. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And there's a hashtag California Medical on it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe that refers to medical marijuana?
It sounds like it.
Okay, and Mr. Gomez wrote, I ain't capping, I'm just saying, when it comes from a real dispensary, it means 100% no additives, no preservatives, some white ash, and then an emoji. And then don't come at me with them fake 1Z with real deal tickets, that's all I'm saying. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you believe this is a cannabis marijuana product, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 3. This is from December 6th, 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is a Facebook post from Mr. Gomez, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Gomez has a picture of live resin Muhammad's watermelon kush, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he stated, when your people understand you going through some, and then an emoji, I know you're still right here laying on me, letting me rub your back and your head. Man, this got to be the longest dream I've ever had because I know I'm going to wake up and you're going to be right here, heart emoji, ing daddy, like you always do. This picture here in the Facebook post, what is that?
It looks like drug, some kind of drug.
Okay. And to your knowledge, Kush refers to marijuana, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And the last picture in this series, Your Honor, I'm going to pull up what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 1. This is a Facebook post from December 7th from Mr. Gomez, is that correct?
Yes.
And he says, ring around the rosies and hashtag purple stuff, is that correct?
Yes.
And that is a slang term for some sort of product with an illegal substance like codeine in it, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. You also have concerns about Mr. Gomez sleeping in the same bed as Nicole, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's marked as Exhibit P2. This was posted since Michelle passed away, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And in this Facebook post, he states, you know, our daughter asked if she could sleep with me last night. She said the movie scared her. Mommy, you know, I told her, of course, is that correct?
Yes.
And there's a picture of Michelle, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have concerns about him sleeping with a 13-year-old that he's not related by blood to?
Very, very much concerns me.
Okay. Do you think that that's appropriate?
Not at all.
We included some of these Facebook posts in the petition that we first filed with the court, is that correct?
Yes.
And then Mr. Gomez was served with that, is that correct?
Yes.
You then saw another Facebook post, and Your Honor, I'm pulling up what's been marked as petitioners 10. This is a Facebook post after Mr. Gomez came to find out that some of his messages were screenshotted, is that correct?
Yes.
And he states here, I'm about to have one hell of a pic for you to screenshot. Now y'all cakes out here worried about me and mine. Them fake ass smiles are everywhere, huh? Do you believe that that was referring to you and the fact that you were screenshotting his messages?
Probably. I don't know.
Do you feel like he was taunting you in the court with that message, talking about screenshots?
I suppose he was.
Okay. And did he make any changes to his Facebook settings after you saw this?
I understand that he did things.
And what changes do you understand that he made?
That he didn't post the same, and he also blocked some of my family members.
Okay, so
Access.
they are not able to see any future Facebook messages, correct?
Correct.
And you don't know if he deleted these messages.
I don't know.
When did Michelle and Angel marry?
In 2019, but they actually got together 3 months after my son passed away.
Okay. Did you notice any change in Nicole since they've been married?
Well, she wasn't allowed to come over as much as often, but I still would pick her up from school even then.
Did you notice any change in her behavior or demeanor or mood?
I can't really say. She was always very guarded about what she was allowed to say. For example, I never asked any questions because I didn't want to pry, and I knew that Nicole was not supposed to share anything about her family life with me.
Have you noticed any change in her mood or demeanor since her mother passed away.
Yes, sir. She has not, she's been very guarded in her phone conversations. I feel, and I can see her mood changing. I can feel her mood changing. I felt like, for example, now that she's back to school, she seems more relaxed. And I think that she's glad, to be among people. But she's been very guarded in all her conversations with me on the phone.
Okay. And when was Michelle's funeral?
The funeral service was December 15th.
Okay. Did you attend?
We were going to attend. We bought bread and flowers to take to her. And then I did feel that that was going to be maybe my last time to see Nicole, because after that, there were no events scheduled.
Did you come to pay respects?
So we did.
Okay. And to your knowledge at that time, was there any court order that prevented Nicole from coming to live with you?
No, sir.
And did Angel, who has no blood relation to Nicole, have any superior right to have Nicole in his home than you did?
Not that I know
Okay. Tell me what happened at the funeral.
of. We did want, I had asked him to let Nicole come visit, and he never did allow her
Who's
to
him?
come to Mr. Gomez.
Okay.
And so at the funeral home, then we saw Nicole, and we wanted to bring her home. And, we felt that that was the best time, and unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. My niece did get Erica and put her in the car between her and me in the back seat. And Nicole sat there, and we did not hold on to her or anything. She never resisted. She was screaming, and that's all. There was nobody in the parking lot except her stepsister and Nicole at that time. And then after we put Nicole in the car, other people started coming.
Okay. One of the things that Mr. Gomez has written in one of his pleadings with the court is that she was thrown into the car. Is that true?
So she was not thrown.
Okay. Did you assault her at any point?
Not at all.
Did you grab her at any point?
Not at all.
Did you stop her from? Your Honor, I would request that Mr. Gomez, he's shaking his head rapidly.
Yeah,
make
let's
it
don't, while someone's testifying, don't make facial remarks or nodding of head or anything like that. The court's just listening to the evidence, and you're going to get an opportunity to tell me what you'd like to tell me if you disagree with something. But you may continue, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Judge. Did you impede her ability to move freely in any way?
Well, she was just sitting. I was not even holding on to her. She was sitting in the car, and
Okay.
I think she was ready to come home.
And people, when she was in the car with you, started to mill about your car.
Yes.
Was that intimidating for you?
Yes, it was.
And 911 was called.
I called 911.
You called
I
911.
called 911.
Okay. And was the result after you left the funeral that the status quo was maintained? Nicole stayed with Angel until we can get to court and get some relief.
Yes, that's what the police officer said, that it was up to the court. They could not
Okay.
decide who. They did listen to us, to my daughter and I.
Okay. I have one final question for you. Why would it be in Nicole's best interest, after everything we've talked about, why would it be in Nicole's best interest for her to live with you and not Mr. Gomez?
I am her next of kin, first of all, and I've known her all her life, and she knows me very well. She knows my family, so we have a very strong support system, and I just simply believe that she belongs with her family, and I think that she would thrive with us.
Do you think that she will not do well with Mr. Gomez?
I'm not sure. I don't really know him that well, except, what I've learned recently, and which really concerns me.
Okay. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Udi, would you like to have like a 10-minute break? I normally take a morning break around 10:30 before you start your cross so people can hit the restroom or get a drink. Why don't we do that? Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and then we'll start up with the cross-examination. We're going off the record. Let's report back at 10:55.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Court's back on the record in the Garza matter. We're going to pick up where we left off. That's with the cross-examination of the petitioner. Mr. Udi, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, you say you're very close to Nicole, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I can't.
Can we get her, she's a little closer up, or is that?
Yes, sir. I am very close to Nicole.
There we go. You say you're very close to Nicole, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I am.
And nobody's saying that you haven't been a good grandma. But I have to question that you think that Nicole is in some sort of danger living with Angel.
Your Honor, I'd ask the question be rephrased.
Overruled. You can answer that, ma'am. He's allowed to lead you. So his questions may be suggestive. If you agree with him, you can say yes. If you don't agree with him, just simply say no. I need you to answer.
Yes, I do.
Have you been to Angel's home?
We tried, but he did not open the door.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yes, sir. We did go to try to see Nicole, but he did not open the door.
When did this happen, ma'am?
Several times. After, while Nicole's mom was in the hospital, and then afterward also.
Okay, did you actually know he was at home?
No, I do not.
So he didn't answer the door. It could have been because he wasn't home, correct?
Could be.
And Nicole, has she ever said that she wants to come live with you?
I haven't asked her.
You haven't asked Nicole if she wants to live with you?
Your Honor, I would object to any hearsay from the child.
Well, yeah, don't tell me what the child, if you ask that, don't tell me what the child responded to, but he's asking if you've asked the child if she wanted to live with you. Objections overruled.
I have not asked.
On the day of the service, how did Nicole end up in your car?
We got, my niece guided her over to the car, and we sat her between my niece and me in the back seat.
So this niece was Erica, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you see her pick her up and forcibly sit her inside the car?
I don't remember.
You know whether before this happened, whether Nicole had a chance to go in and pay final respects to her mom?
I don't know.
So did anybody try to keep you from taking Nicole that day?
Yes.
Who was that, ma'am?
The stepsister, the two stepsisters, actually.
And how did they try to keep Nicole from leaving with you?
They stood in front of our car.
And who was driving the car?
My daughter.
Your daughter, did she try to get them to get out of the way by pulling the car forward?
No, she did not.
So the car did not move?
No, I don't remember, but I don't think so.
Did Nicole ever try to climb over the front seat to get out?
Not at all.
She didn't object to being thrown in the car?
I don't understand that.
Okay, did Nicole object to being forcibly made to get inside the car?
Nicole did scream, but she did not resist at all. She just sat still. And I was not holding her down at all. I was not even touching her.
So it's your testimony that Nicole screamed.
Yes,
And what did she say when she screamed?
I don't remember.
So you said that you called the police,
I did, sir. I called 911.
and what did you tell the 911 operator?
I don't remember exactly, but something to the effect that we had gone to pick up my granddaughter and they were not letting us leave.
How many police officers arrived at the scene?
Close to me, there were 3, but I don't remember if there were others.
Did they give you a case number?
Yes, sir.
And have you called for the police report?
Yes, sir.
Have you got the police report?
I was told it was not ready yet.
What did the police tell you at the scene?
Objection to hearsay.
Sustained.
Why did Nicole end up getting out of the car?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Has Nicole, never mind, that's all right. So it's your testimony here today that you haven't asked Nicole to come live with you?
That's correct, sir.
Don't you think that's a pretty important thing that you should ask?
I have asked her to come and visit.
So you have asked her to come and visit, but you haven't asked her to come live with you.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Sustained.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Hunt, any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hunt, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, I'll call Elizabeth Johnson, and Ms. Burtowski is going to handle testimony for this witness.
Okay, she's in the waiting room, so let's see if she's available. Ms. Johnson, if you can get your video and audio up and running for me.
Yes,
If you
sir.
would please raise your right hand to be sworn. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you're going to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do, Your Honor.
And is it Miss Burlowski? Is that how you pronounce it?
Buratowski.
Buratowski. Miss
Polish.
Buratowski, your witness.
Thank you. Good morning, Elizabeth. Can you please state your name for the court?
My name is Mrs. Elizabeth Aileen Felton.
And how do you know the petitioner, Christina Valdez?
She was my next door neighbor for a very long time.
And what is your background?
I am an Air Force veteran and a mother of 2 children. I am happily married to a Marine veteran. I have a real
How
estate.
long have you known excuse me. How long have you known Miss Valdez?
Well, I first met her as a baby because I am living in the house where I was brought home as a child, and she lived there the whole time. I played with her daughter in my yard when I was a little kid, but too little to remember. I moved back into this house after I separated from the Air Force, I think in 2012. And I got to know her in the meantime.
Would it be fair to say that you've known Miss Valdez most of your life?
That would not really be accurate. As I said, I've met her as a baby, but then I moved away and did other stuff. I came back to this neighborhood and moved in next door to her as an adult, as a married adult.
How long were you 2 neighbors? How long were you 2 neighbors where you lived in your childhood home?
Oh, I don't remember that.
When did you stop being Miss Valdez's neighbor?
When my parents divorced, my dad lived in this house for a very short amount of time. My parents divorced when I was 6. But I didn't see her then. For all intents and purposes, we can say I got to know Christina after I moved here as an adult.
When did Christina move away?
Just a few months ago this summer.
And when you were neighbors with her, were you 2 close before she moved?
Yes, we became very close.
Can you give me some examples of that?
I would wave and say hi, and we would chat at the fence line anytime we were both out in the front yard. So we would pass each other and speak multiple times a week. We would go visit her at her house fairly frequently, a few times a month at least. And we would sit around the table and chat, and my kids would play in her playroom after I had children. I feel like we got to know each other extremely well.
How would you describe Miss Valdez?
She is very sweet and her manners are perfect. She's an excellent role model. I love having my children around her so that they can see what a nice, sweet lady, how a nice, sweet lady acts and behaves. And I think she's an excellent role model. She keeps a very healthy, well-stocked pantry and refrigerator. Her housekeeping is meticulous. Her house is spotless, and like the beds are neatly made and the pillows are fluffed, like perfect grandmother role model. She's a retired teacher. She always encourages the kids to work with art supplies. And when my kids would go, or my younger daughter, really, when my oldest daughter was younger, she would go visit Christina and come back with like a paper plate with noodles glued to it and like glitter and writing and stuff. They always did that kind of crafts at her house.
Are you familiar with Miss Valdez's granddaughter, Nicole Garza?
Yes, ma'am.
How would you describe her relationship with Nicole?
Christina is very protective of her time with Nicole. My daughter always wanted to go see Nicole anytime she would see her. She's like, I want to go play. And I would ask. And sometimes the answer was yes, especially when Nicole was much younger. But as Nicole got older, she was less interested in playing with much smaller children.
How often would you see Nicole at Mrs. Valdez's home?
When she was a smaller child, we would see her so frequently that we thought she lived there. It wasn't until I got to know Christina better that she explained to me that she just visited all the time, sometimes with no notice, just being dropped off without a bag or anything. And she would just keep her every minute that she could. We thought she lived there, but as she got older, we saw less and less of her.
Did you ever see Miss Valdez interacting with Nicole?
Yes,
Could you describe it for the court?
she is patient and calm and kind. And she listens well. Nicole could have any kind of request she would make would be reasonably accommodated. She's doting on her granddaughter,
Did they seem close?
very close.
Did their relationship seem appropriate?
Absolutely,
Did their relationship seem loving?
very much,
Did Miss Valdez ever speak about Nicole with you?
all the time.
What sort of things would she say?
When my daughters would be in her playroom, she would point out Nicole's favorite things and tell us what her current favorite art projects were. Like she went through this slime making phase and was like, don't touch this workspace because this is where Nicole makes her slime. It's like, okay, I don't want my toddler in your glue pile. Cool. So she would tell us what Nicole's favorite foods were. She'd serve something like, I always keep this in case Nicole drops by. These are her favorite foods. And stuff like that. She had my kid picked up a stuffed animal off of Nicole's bed. Nicole had a bed in Christina's room in the corner, just a very tidy little low to the ground, twin size, perfect for a small child to climb on and off of. And my daughter picked up a stuffed animal off of it one time, and Christina immediately was like, this is Nicole's, and gently took it away and put it back on the bed. Like, no one else touches this. This is her stuff. Leave it alone. Okay, but she didn't use those words. She was much more gentle and kindergarten teacherly than I could possibly be.
Did you see Nicole less once Nicole's dad passed away and her mom married the respondent, Joe Angel Gomez?
I saw Nicole after, yes, I did. I saw her after her father passed. Instead of being lively, bouncy, confident, energetic, she was sad and calm, and she would speak when spoken to, but she still walked upright. She was just moved a little slower because she was sad.
When is the last time you saw Nicole?
The last time I saw Nicole was the day after Christina moved. I do want to mention that the time before that was the one time I saw her after her mother remarried, but before Christina moved, I saw Nicole exactly one time, and her posture gave me cause for concern because instead of walking upright, she had her whole body scrunched in, just as small as she could make herself, and was like hiding her face behind a curtain of hair. She, when spoken to, she would barely make eye contact. Like she would just look up at you from under her hair curtain and maybe speak a word, like so quiet that it was inaudible. And I was concerned for her well-being. And so was Christina. The last time I saw her, she was in the back seat of Christina's car. The day after they moved, Christina, her mother, who I've always called Abuelita, and I don't recall her first name, sorry. Christina, Lena, Abuelita, and Nicole all showed up in the same car, pulled into my driveway, gave us a huge plate of food to thank us for my husband helping them move into their new home. And Nicole just like opened the back door, popped up, balanced on the door frame. She didn't actually get out of the car, gave me a huge smile, smiled real big at my daughters. And then we chatted. I chatted with Lena mostly. And then they drove away, and that was the last time I saw her.
Whenever you would see Nicole at Mrs. Valdez's home, what sort of activities would Nicole be doing?
She would, they spent a lot of time playing on the driveway. She did sidewalk chalk art, and she had a skateboard. She used, I guess, scooters and a bicycle. She had a bicycle with training wheels. After her father passed away, she was trying to learn to ride the bicycle without the training wheels, and Christina was trying to help her, but they were really struggling. And my husband went over there to help her understand how to use the bicycle without the training wheels, and she got it right away.
Do you have children of your own?
I do. I have two.
And were your children friends with Nicole?
My older daughter, who is 6 now, considered Nicole her best friend when she was a toddler. Nicole was obviously much older, but I guess she had a bit of hero worship. Nicole was her favorite kid to play with, and she would just keep eyes out for Nicole showing up or being on the driveway. And anytime she saw her, she'd like beg me to go over there. I had to get permission from Christina to let
Have you ever left? Go ahead. Have you ever left your own children alone with Miss Valdez?
Yes.
How often?
Not as often as we would have liked, but some months more frequently than others. So sometimes she would be over there a few times a month, alone, unsupervised, by me, obviously, with Christina. And sometimes we would go months between such visits. I think it takes a lot out of a person to watch another woman's young children.
Would you feel comfortable leaving your child alone with Miss Valdez today?
Absolutely, anytime.
Do you believe that Miss Valdez is good with children?
She's spectacular with children, among the best I've seen.
Have you been inside Miss Valdez's home?
Yes, I have.
And have you been inside both her current and former home?
Yes, I have.
And could you describe those homes, please?
Very clean, tidy, well lit, with live plants, and welcoming, well furnished, well kept, beautiful homes. She obviously has, pride in her space.
Do you know if Christina has a room for Nicole?
Yes, in the new home she does.
Have you seen that room?
Yes, I have, but I have not set foot inside. I just saw it from the door.
Could you describe the room that you saw?
Yes, there was a bed and a desk and some developmental toys and art supplies on the desk, shelf of books. It was very clean. There was no clutter.
So you've seen Nicole grow from a toddler to a teenager with Christina. How do you think that Ms. Valdez feels about Nicole?
Very nurturing, protective, motherly.
Have you noticed any sort of change in Nicole over the years that you've known her?
Yes.
Can you describe that change?
Well, she was a very energetic child. And I feel like I already answered this question. As a young, before she went into puberty, she was like bouncy, happy, creative. She would speak freely. After her father passed, she was very quiet and withdrawn. And then after her mother remarried, she looked like she was trying to make herself disappear. Like she just hunched herself completely small and like she didn't want to be noticed at all.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right, Mr. Udi, do you have any questions of this witness? Oh, I'm sorry, you're muted, sir.
I'm sorry, I thought I hit the button. First of all, Ms. Johnson, we appreciate your service to this country and your husband's service in the Marine Corps, you in the Air Force. You testified that after Nicole's father passed away, that she walked slower, her head was down. She really looked depressed. Is that correct?
No, sir. After her father passed away, she still walked upright, but moved more slowly, spoke more slowly. She wasn't bouncing and skipping and jumping around and telling stories anymore. She was quiet, but she didn't give me cause for concern. It's normal and healthy that a child would be sad after her father passed away, but her posture was still upright. She still walked with confidence. It wasn't until her mother remarried to her stepfather that her posture gave
I
me.
didn't ask anything about that, ma'am. Thank you. Though.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever meet Michelle?
I've only seen her
Mother?
maybe once in Christina's living room, maybe once. I would see her car pull up in the driveway, and then Nicole would bolt and jump in the car.
So she was in a hurry to get in the car, is that correct?
No, her mother didn't want to spend any time there. So Nicole knew that the rule was she had to go as soon as her mom showed up.
How do you know that?
Because she told me.
Who did?
Nicole. She would say, I can't play with Alice. My mom is coming soon. I have to wait for her.
Judge,
I can go.
Judge, I would just object as to hearsay to
Hold
the
on,
child,
Ms.
just to be consistent.
I need Ms. Bertowski to
sorry.
make the objection since it's her witness.
Your Honor,
Sorry, Judge.
Your Honor, I object to hearsay of the child.
Ms. Johnson, if one of your children cried and said they didn't want to go to your neighbor's house, would you still force them to go?
Certainly not.
No further questions.
Anything further, Ms. Bertowski?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson, for appearing. We appreciate your testimony.
Thank you all.
All right, Mr. Hunt, you may call your next witness.
Judge, I'd call Joe Angel Gomez.
All right, Mr. Gomez, you're being called as an adverse witness. What that means is your lawyer is going to get an opportunity to ask you questions in a little bit. Mr. Hunt is allowed to ask you leading questions, which may call for a yes or no response or for a very limited response. Now would not be your time to explain your answers. So listen very carefully to his questions and just answer the question that's asked, understanding that your lawyer is going to give you an opportunity to explain any answers that he thinks he needs to have you explain. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Hunt, you may proceed. And Ms. Johnson, you're free to leave. You're free to stay if you'd like to stay. It's up to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gomez, would you please state your full name?
Joe Angel Gomez.
And you go by Angel, not Joe, is that correct?
Yes, both. But everybody calls me Angel.
Yes, sir. What is your relationship to Nicole?
Her stepfather.
And what's Nicole's date of birth?
2/25/08.
And so she's 13 years old, is that correct?
Correct.
You don't have a blood relationship to this child, is that right?
No, sir.
And you don't have a court order giving you rights to this child, is that correct?
No, sir.
At this time, you haven't filed a suit affecting the parent-child relationship with a court, is that correct?
We were going to, but her mother passed away.
Objection, non-responsive.
And
At this time, you have not filed a suit affecting the parent-child relationship, is that correct?
No, sir.
At this time, you have not filed a guardianship for Nicole in a probate court, is that correct?
No, sir.
At this time, you have not filed a petition to adopt Nicole, is that correct?
No, sir.
And do you have biological children?
Yes, sir.
Let's start with your oldest. What's your oldest's name?
Isaac Angel Gomez.
And what's his date of birth?
9/18/96.
All right, and your next child?
Joe Albert Pena.
And his date of birth?
His mother has never let me have any type of contact with him since she was pregnant with him.
So you don't know his date of birth?
No, in the beginning, she told me,
Non-responsive after no.
sustained.
And you've never seen Joe
Yeah,
Albert
yes.
Pena?
yes,
Okay. Did you ever initiate a court proceeding so you can have a relationship with Joe Albert Pena?
I took a DNA test.
And the DNA test showed you were the father?
Yes, sir.
Did you go to court to establish any rights over the child?
The mother didn't let me.
Did you go to court, sir, and establish any rights?
No.
All right, who's your next child?
Abel Josiah Gomez.
And his date of birth?
6/14/07.
Okay, and you have a standard possession order that lays out your time with the child?
We share custody.
In your court order, you have a court order, correct?
Yes,
And in that court order, you have a standard possession order, correct?
I don't understand what that is.
You don't, you are not the primary custodian of that child.
No,
And the mother has the exclusive right to make all invasive medical, psychological, psychiatric, and primary residence decisions for that child. Is that correct?
I believe so.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
I believe so.
Okay. And who's your next child?
Angelina J. Lynn Gomez,
And what's that child's date of birth?
2/24/09.
Okay. And for that child, you have a court order, correct?
Yes, Abel and Angelina are brother and sister.
Okay. So for Angelina, you also have a standard possession order, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Angelina's mother is the primary custodian, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the child's mother has the exclusive right to make all invasive medical, psychological, psychiatric, and primary residence decisions, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, who's your next child?
Ashley Marie Gomez,
And what's her date of birth?
11/13/11.
Is it 11/13/12? Is that correct?
Oh, 11/13/12. I'm sorry. Yes, 12.
Okay, and she's 9 years old?
Yes,
And you have a standard possession order that lays out your time with Ashley as well, correct?
correct.
And in that case, mom has is the custodian, the primary custodian, is that correct? And the child's mother has the exclusive right to make all invasive medical, psychological, psychiatric, and primary residence decisions, correct?
Correct.
Okay, who's your next child?
That's it.
Do you have, is there a child, Olivia?
Who?
Do you have a child named Olivia?
No, I don't.
Olivia Gomez?
No, I do not.
Okay. Okay. Just a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, I have an exhibit for impeachment purposes. I could send it to Mr. Udi via the chat feature. Is that okay? Would you prefer email?
You can do that or email. Mr. Udi, what do you prefer? Would you prefer email or did he send you an exhibit through the chat?
Email, please.
Would you send it to Mr. Udi via email, please? Mr. Gomez, do you know a woman, Amber Sanchez Garza?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Gomez, are the last four digits of your social security 9988?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, let's just forget it. All right, sir, where do you live?
4137 Dover Street, number 17, Houston, Texas. 77087.
And who else lives in your home currently?
Me and Nicole Garza.
Do you work?
Sir.
I'm sorry,
I'm
sir.
sorry, I didn't hear the answer. What did you say?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
What do you do?
I'm a contractor. I'm an independent contractor.
And what kind of contracting work do you do?
I deliver freight.
What was your last, where did you deliver last? What was your last job?
I was in school. I had went to school, and before that, I was delivering for Best Buy, Sears, Lowe's. The company that I worked for had those contracts.
Okay, so when was that?
Pretty much all my life. I started delivering when I was 18 years old, and that's all I've
When
done.
was the last time, when was the last time you had a job?
I'm employed now.
Okay, I asked you when the last time you had a job was, sir, and you said, I was in school. So when is the last time that you delivered items with a truck?
Last week.
Okay, and was that in the Houston area?
Yes, sir. I mean, I was in school for about a year and a half, and then I went back to delivering again.
Okay,
I was
and are
going-
all of your jobs always in the Houston area?
I've traveled out of town a few times because I was asked.
Okay, do you do overnight trips?
No, sir.
You're always back the same day?
I work from 8 till maybe 6, 7 o'clock at night.
Did Nicole go to her grandmother Christina's house when Michelle was alive?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever reach out to Miss Valdez after Michelle passed away?
Yes, sir.
And how did you do that?
She came to the hospital the day of, I want to say the day before that I took Michelle off life support, and she didn't speak to me at all. She waited till she left.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Sir, I asked how many times you have initiated contact with Ms. Valdez?
Maybe 3-4 times.
And when is the last time that you have initiated contact with Ms. Valdez?
The day of the viewing.
The day of, I'm sorry?
The day of my wife's viewing at her funeral.
Okay. And what about before then?
She would call me when Nicole wouldn't answer her.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained. He's asking when you reached out, not when Ms. Valdez reached out to you.
I've maybe once.
So when is, before, you said the viewing, before then, when is the previous time before that you reached out to Ms. Valdez? You initiated the contact.
My wife always reached out to her.
Okay.
She would never speak to me.
Okay. So if the question is, did you initiate contact by telephone? The answer would be no, since your wife died.
No, she doesn't communicate with me also.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Sir, since your wife died, have you initiated contact with Ms. Valdez?
No,
Have you spoken with this child about this case?
she knows what's going on
Well, how does she know what's going on?
because she was there when I got served the papers. And her grandma tells her, when she calls her, she tells me that her grandma tells her.
Objection, non-responsive as the hearsay from the child.
Sustained.
Sir, you have spoken with this child about this case, correct?
A little bit. She knows what's
Sir.
going on.
Okay. She was there when you received the paperwork, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you got served with the paperwork and told Nicole what it was, correct?
Correct.
And you have spoken with Nicole about what we're doing here today, correct?
She knows what's going on, yes.
Sir, I'm asking, have you spoken with Nicole about what we're doing here today?
Yes. She asked me.
And you told Nicole what we're doing here today, correct?
Correct. Yes, correct.
Do you believe that a 13-year-old should be able to make every decision in their lives for themselves?
That's hard to say.
Do you think that a 13-year-old should be able to make every decision in their lives for themselves?
Not every decision.
Okay. Would you agree that there are some things that because kids' brains aren't developed completely or they aren't entirely mature, that adults need to help kids decide? Would you agree with that?
Yes, guide them.
Would you agree that there are some things that parents and adults need to make decisions for kids about?
Yes.
Okay. And if it's a big decision, a life-altering decision that might have consequences for years to come, should the child be able to make that decision completely on their own? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Is Nicole attending therapy or under the care of a mental health professional?
No.
Has she received any mental health treatment since her mother passed?
I've spoken to the school and they said they were gonna put her into counseling.
So has Michelle, do you have personal knowledge of whether Michelle has gotten any therapy so far?
when she was in school, she had a counselor that would visit with her one-on-one constantly and would invite us to functions for her.
Are you talking about after her mother died?
No, this was after her father died.
My question is, after her mother died, do you have any personal knowledge whether she has received
No.
any type of therapy?
No. It just
And
happened.
how long have you lived? Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
How long have you lived at your current address?
2.5 years. Almost 2 years.
And what,
Go ahead.
less than 2 years?
Going on 2 years.
Did you move in August of 2019?
Yes.
So that would be more than 2 years, correct?
I can't give you an actual date, but we've lived there almost over about 2 years, I believe.
Okay. And what school is Nicole zoned to at your current address?
There's 3 different schools that she can be zoned to. I chose Ortiz. Well, me and my wife chose Ortiz because it's closer to us.
Okay. And you moved to your current address in 2019, and you've lived there ever since, correct?
No, we lived in a different residence and we moved to where I'm at now in August of, I believe it was 2019. No.
Okay.
Yes.
So Nicole was unenrolled from her school in Pasadena ISD in November of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, her mother checked her out.
Okay. So Nicole was attending a school that she was not zoned to for over 2 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So does it sound about right that she unenrolled her November 12th of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And when was Nicole's first day at Ortiz Middle School?
Yesterday. I enrolled her on 12/6.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained after yesterday.
Okay. So from November 12th until January 3rd, Nicole did not go to school, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Nicole was failing classes when she unenrolled in November, is that correct?
No,
She was passing all of her classes?
she was passing me.
Okay. Just give you a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, we have an exhibit for impeachment. They're school records of the Pasadena ISD school. We're going to go ahead and email those to Mr. Udy. And they do have a business records affidavit. The notice of filing of business records affidavit was filed this morning. We just received the records yesterday.
Mr. Udy, after you've had a chance to look at that, we'll deal with that exhibit. Do you need to take a break, Mr. Hunter? Can you move on to other topics and then come back to that?
No, I can certainly come back to that, Your Honor. And Ms. Buratowski is emailing that to Mr. Udy, so we can continue.
Okay.
Mr. Gomez, what is Nicole's teacher's name?
At her school now,
What's her teacher's name at Ortiz?
she has different teachers right now. She just started. They just gave her schedule.
Okay. Would it surprise you to hear that Ms. Valdez is listed as a contact in Nicole's school paperwork with Pasadena ISD?
Would it be what?
Would it surprise you to hear that Christina is listed as a contact in Nicole's school paperwork with Pasadena ISD?
No, her mother did that.
Okay. Who is Nicole's doctor?
Her doctor. I don't have her name right now off of hand. her mother would take her to do all of that. I wouldn't take her because they wouldn't allow me to take her.
Who wouldn't allow you?
The doctors, they said, I've taken her to some visits, but everything had to be with Michelle because like they would only allow me to do certain things. Everything else would have to be Michelle.
Okay, so you don't know the doctor's name?
I never went with her. She always,
When's the last time? So then you also don't know the last time she went to the doctor?
yes, I took her, I would say it was maybe a few months ago. I took her to the doctor because Michelle couldn't even walk anymore, really. She was in so much pain.
So, sir, I'm confused. You said that they wouldn't let you take her to the doctor, but then you
But
just
she called
testified
that-
that you took her to the doctor.
Because she called the doctor that day and and she explained to them what her situation was. So they said they would see her if I would take her.
Okay, but you don't know who that doctor is, correct?
I can't think right off a hand the name of the doctor.
And what did you take her for?
She had to get a shot. I believe it was her 12-year-old shots.
Okay, so would you, after this hearing, be able to provide the name of the doctor to your attorney to then provide to me so I can verify that you actually took her to the doctor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's Nicole's dentist's name?
The same thing. Michelle, my wife, would take her to all of that.
Okay.
It was either I was at work or
And sir, in your answer, you state that Nicole was, quote, thrown into a car. Is that correct?
I saw her.
And sir, it's your testimony that you were there and saw Nicole get into the car, yes or no?
Throw her? Yes, I saw them pick her up and put her physically in the car. And she was
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained other than yes.
Yes, I saw them.
Sir, you saw the Facebook post where Nicole is driving at night, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you think it's appropriate for a 13-year-old to be driving a car at night, no matter where it is?
She was in my supervision.
Sir, my question was, you think it's appropriate for a 13-year-old to be driving a car at night?
With my supervision.
Sir, do you think it is appropriate for a 13-year-old to be driving a car at night under your supervision?
Yes, just teaching her.
Objection, non-responsive after yes.
Sustained.
Sir, you also saw the Facebook post that you wrote about sleeping in the same bed as Nicole, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes or no, you think it's appropriate to sleep in the same bed with Nicole, who's 13, about to be 14, and is unrelated to you by blood? Yes?
yes. She was scared.
Sir, you consume illegal substances, correct?
I have.
What's your drug of choice?
I would smoke marijuana to calm myself down. I used to see a therapist.
When objection, non-responsive after marijuana.
Sustained.
Have you ever used any other illegal substances?
No,
Have you ever used synthetic marijuana?
no.
Okay, when's the last time that you used drugs?
Maybe about 3 weeks ago.
I'm sorry, you broke up. You say 3 weeks ago?
3 weeks. 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so if a court were to order a drug test that goes back 90 days, it would show only marijuana in your system.
Correct.
Okay. How frequently do you smoke?
Every now and then.
Okay. I'm going to pull up and display, Your Honor, petitioners exhibit P9. Sir, do you recognize this Facebook post that you wrote on October 16th, 2021?
My wife wrote that.
Okay. Is this a picture of you?
Yes, sir, eating a bag of popcorn.
Okay. And when that pen hits, you're referring to a vape pen, correct?
Yes, Michelle was.
Okay. And in this picture of the vape, so the vape pen that she's referring to was with marijuana, correct?
Yes. Like a joke.
I'm sorry, I
I'm
didn't have the
sorry?
very end of that. What did you say?
It was
at the
like a
very-
joke. Because I put
still
a
don't-
bag of popcorn for my mom.
I still didn't understand what you said. I'm sorry.
It was a joke. I was eating the popcorn like that. She wrote that. That's not what I wrote.
Okay. So you're saying that she's referring to a marijuana vape pen, but you're saying that that you were not high here.
Yes,
So your testimony is that she's not referring to the fact that you have the munchies, but instead that you're making believe that that's a marijuana blunt or pen.
I have no pen in my hand. That's a bag of popcorn.
Okay. All right, I'm going to pull up what's been marked as petitioner's exhibit 4. Sorry about that, I was muted. Sir, this is what's been marked as petitioner's exhibit 4. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
And you're showing a picture of something that you got from a dispensary, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and this has cannabis in it, correct?
correct.
It has THC in it, correct? Okay, I'm going to continue down. Was Sergio Garza involved in the procurement of that item?
No, sir.
Okay. Is that something, the Zerbert, that you consume on a regular basis?
No, sir.
So you didn't consume those?
That one I did.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to pull up what's marked as petitioner's exhibit 1.
Your Honor, can we take a restroom break real quick?
We're going to break in 4 minutes for lunch. Do you think if we
Okay.
need to go before then?
I can hold it for 4 minutes.
All right, I pulled up what's marked as petitioner's exhibit 1. Mr. Gomez, you say hashtag purple stuff here. What is purple stuff?
It's a reference to codeine.
Okay, and you have codeine in this drink, correct?
No. It's just I haven't seen that soda in so long. I know some guy friends of mine when we were younger, that's what they would drink that with.
What is Ring Around the Rosies?
A reference to a song that's on the radio now.
Okay, so you're referencing using an illegal substance, but you're saying that you're not using an illegal substance here.
Correct. Like I said, I only smoke marijuana every now and then.
And although there's not codeine in here, just seeing this drink made you blissful, it says. Is that correct?
Yes, just to when I was younger, in my
Okay.
teenage years.
And that was in December after you were the sole caretaker of Nicole, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Your Honor, I'm going to pull up what's been marked as petitioner's exhibit 3. Sir, can you see this?
yes, sir.
And this is a Facebook post from you.
Yes, sir.
And this is a picture of marijuana.
I was told it was CBD.
You post a lot about marijuana and drug paraphernalia, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what Kush means?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you ingested this?
Yes.
Okay. And was December 6th before or after Nicole's mother passed away?
After.
Okay. So you consumed this while you were the sole caretaker of Nicole, correct?
She wasn't with me at that day.
Okay, where was she?
She was with her sister,
Who's that?
Cindy Camacho. She was with her.
So you placed her with her sister,
No, they asked.
Michelle's sister. Let me ask my question, sir. You placed Nicole with Michelle's sister so you could smoke marijuana, is that correct?
No, that's Michelle's daughter, not her sister. That's
Okay,
Michelle- my wife told us.
you placed Nicole
No.
with Michelle's daughter so you could smoke this marijuana, correct?
No,
Okay, while Nicole was not with you during this time, you did smoke marijuana, correct?
that time, yes.
Okay. How many nights has Nicole spent away from you since Michelle passed away?
Twice.
All right, Mr. Hunt, if you're gonna move to a new topic, let me know, because we're gonna break for lunch whenever you're transitioning.
This is a good point, Your Honor, and I probably got a few more minutes after this,
All right,
after the break.
we'll resume at 1 o'clock. Does that give y'all enough time to eat lunch?
Yes, sir. And just for Mr. UT's benefit, we did provide him with those school records. They're in his email.
That way he can take a look at those during the lunch break, but we'll resume at 1 o'clock. We're going off the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, the court reporter's done, and so she's gonna come in and join us. So we're gonna go off the electronic recording device, and the court reporter's finishing up her lunch now. Should be with us any second. So as soon as she joins us, we'll get started.
Judge, is our screen showing up sideways to you?
It is.
Okay, that's a first. I might need to log out for just a
Sure.
moment to try to see if we can fix it.
You're sideways, Alex. Your Honor, are you drinking a Diet Coke?
Yeah, I'm busted, I guess.
Yeah, you are. You should drink regular Coke.
Really? I don't
Yeah.
drink, I try to stay away from sodas, but I found in the afternoon, sometimes I need a little jolt of caffeine.
There you go.
Minnie, it looks like you may be having trouble logging in. Minnie, just let me know when you're ready.
Let me do my speaker identifications real quick and then I'll be ready. Okay, Judge, I'm ready.
And Minnie, for purposes of the record, we have P1 through 19, that petitioners 1 through 19 that have been admitted, and respondents 1 through 5 that have been admitted.
Okay.
And I I've already kind of warned everybody about making sure you don't talk over one another. It's going to be very important that you don't do that because this lady is going to be taking down everything that's said. So make sure you let the lawyer complete their question before you start giving an answer. And lawyers, make sure your witnesses complete their answers before you move to your next question. All right, let's see. We're on, we ready, Minnie?
Yes.
The court's back on the record in cause number 21 DCV 289584. We're resuming our hearing from this morning. The rule was invoked this morning, and I see Ms. Camacho, you have not testified yet. Why don't I go ahead and swear you in while I've got you here? If you would, please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony that you're going to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, you may put your hand down. Are we calling her out of order, or do I need to just move her to the waiting room?
It's up to Mr. Hunt.
Your Honor, I have maybe 5 to 10 minutes left, and then I'm gonna rest.
Ms. Camacho, I think we're going to come to you soon, so I'm going to put you in the waiting room and I'll bring you back in when it's your turn to testify.
Okay.
All right, we're going to pick up with the direct examination of an adverse party by Mr. Hunt on Mr. Gomez. Mr. Hunt, you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Gomez, can you hear me?
We can't hear you, Mr. Gomez.
Yes.
Okay. Sir, have you deleted any Facebook posts or pictures within the last 2 months?
Yes.
What have you deleted?
I don't recall, just pictures and posts.
Any of the pictures that you've seen today, did you delete them?
No, they're in my saved files.
Did you delete any of the Facebook posts that you posted that I showed you today and are entered as our evidence, our exhibits? Did you delete any of those from Facebook?
No, they're moved into a file on Facebook.
Explain to me what you mean by you moved it into a file.
It says to move to, I believe it, I can't remember what the thing says, but they're still there. I have them on Facebook. I believe it says I can't remember what it says.
Okay. So did you hide certain posts or pictures in the last 2 months?
Yes.
And there are certain posts that were visible to folks that now are not visible. Is that correct?
No, all of my people can see my posts.
Okay. But there are some posts that are not visible to anybody anymore.
Because they're only seen by my friends.
Okay. So you changed your settings so that only your friends can see your posts.
Well, it's always been like that too. I don't know how. I've never had to where my posts were really public, I don't think.
Okay. Did you stated that you moved some to a different file on Facebook, so they're no longer visible. Can you give me an example of any of those?
I think the one about her driving. About, I think the screenshot one, the one I said, and the one I believe about me being on Harwin. That's where I work. I deliver out that way.
Why did you hide them?
No reason.
Do you often do things for no reason?
No, sir.
Okay. Sir, do you recall when you testified that Nicole was passing all of her classes when she unenrolled from her previous school?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to share my screen. If there are no objections from Mr. Udi, I believe that he's had an opportunity now to review the business records affidavit with the school records from Nicole's prior school. I don't know if he'd be willing to stipulate as to them, but I'll like to share my screen at this time to show those exhibits.
And what is the exhibit marked as?
I'm sorry, P20, Your Honor.
All right, to Mr. Udi, have you had an opportunity to review P20?
Yes, sir.
And do you have any objections to P20?
No, sir.
Are you all from P20 at this time, Mr. Hunt?
Yes, Your Honor.
P20 is admitted.
Mr. Gomez, can you see the document titled Business Records Affidavit on the screen?
Yes, sir.
And do you see where my mouse is, where it states that these are 8 pages that constitute the educational records of Nicole Lynn Garza, maintained by the Pasadena Independent School District?
Yes.
And this was signed by Jody Kennemer, who's the General Counsel of Pasadena ISD, is that correct?
Yes.
And she signed it before a notary yesterday, January 3rd, is that correct?
Yes.
Have you ever seen this document, page 2 of this document?
I saw it yesterday when I enrolled her in school. I mean, when I went with her first day of school.
Okay, this page you've seen before, correct?
Yesterday.
Okay, and if you take a look, this covers the period from August 17th, 2021 to November 8th, 2021. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Nicole is in 8th grade, is that right?
Yes.
And on it says current grades and then it lists her classes, correct?
Yes.
And she has a 78 in a class called AVID, is that right?
Yes.
And what is AVID?
It's an advanced class for her
And what is it?
to prep them for high school. She told me.
Okay. And in science, she has a 72, correct?
Yes.
And in algebra, she has a 51, correct?
Yes. The algebra was kind of hard for her.
Okay. To your knowledge and your experience, 51 is failing, correct?
Yes. Only one class.
Okay. And sir, on that same page, which covers August 17th to November 8th, which is less than 3 months, how many unexcused absences did she have first period? And my mouse is on the
12.
box where that's located. And 6th and 7th period, ELA, how many unexcused absences did she have?
12.
Okay.
There's reasons for that.
On page page 8. This page is titled Student Information TX. Do you see that?
Yes.
And it lists the emergency contacts as Mom Michelle Gomez, you, stepfather Joe Gomez, grandmother Christina Valdez, and aunt Maria Prasad, correct?
Yes.
And Maria Prasad is Christina's daughter, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
All right, and just so you know, I don't see that petitioner's 20 has been sent to the 3D 7th exhibit email yet. So if you could please send that or have someone from your office send that so that Minnie gets it. All right, Mr. Udi, do you have any questions of this witness at this time?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay, on the Facebook post where Nicole was driving, what were the circumstances that you allowed Nicole to drive?
Was because I would be with her, supervising her, because her mother had previously took her once before, and she asked me if I could take her. But I put it off for a long time before we went and did that.
Okay, what was the location where she drove?
In the parking lot.
In the parking lot of the park. So she was not out on the city streets anywhere
No, sir.
where she could be a danger to anybody.
No. I also had my 9-year-old daughter with us.
Okay. The child that the petitioner was trying to say was yours, Amber Garza. What did we find out when we looked up that case?
It was a completely different person.
It was a different Joe Angel
Yeah.
Gomez.
Yes, a different Joe Angel.
How many Joe Angel Gomez's did we find?
About 21, 22.
Okay. Have we discussed a court-ordered guardianship?
Yes,
Have we discussed a court-ordered adoption?
yes.
And why haven't we followed through on that?
Because of what's going on.
What's going on here today?
Well, it was also Michelle. That's what we were planning on doing, but she got so ill that she was constantly in and out the hospital. She couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't do anything anymore, really.
And the school allowed you to enroll.
I was allowed to receive her birth certificate the very next day that Michelle passed away, and I enrolled her in school that very same day I got her birth certificate. Because people at the annex told me, since me and Michelle were legally married, I was bound as her guardian now, as her father is deceased also. So she printed me.
Objection to hearsay.
Sustained.
She printed me the birth certificate, and as soon as we left the annex, I took her to school and enrolled her.
Okay, and you still plan on, after this case is over, of adopting Nicole?
Yes, sir.
Is it true that on the exhibit P20, what has her grades, that some of those weren't filled in when you were up there yesterday?
Yes, they were empty.
Objection leading, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Were everything on that, on her grade sheet, were they available to you yesterday?
No.
Did they tell you why?
They were waiting for the school to send.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
Do you feel if you were to take a drug test today, that the only thing that would show up would be marijuana?
Correct.
Have you ever done any illegal drug, including marijuana, in front of Nicole?
No, sir.
Have you explained to her the dangers of narcotics and drugs?
Yes, she knows, and from school also.
Did Michelle make it clear before she passed away that she wanted you to raise Nicole?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I couldn't hear that last question.
The question was, did Michelle tell you prior to her passing that she wanted you to take care of Nicole?
And Your Honor, I would object to hearsay and ask that the response be struck from the record.
All right, the answer's already been given, so the court's not going to strike it. You may continue, Mr. Udi.
Thank you, Your Honor. Whenever Mr. Hunt asked you about sleeping in the same bed with Nicole, why was she allowed to sleep with you that night?
She let me know that she was scared and she didn't want to be.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained. Don't tell me what other people tell you.
Okay. She was scared.
If this court allows you to be Nicole's primary conservator, do you promise not to do any kind of illegal drug, including marijuana?
I promise.
Tell me what you saw that day that Nicole ended up in the car with her grandmother.
I was walking out because I was bringing in the sandwiches and the waters and stuff. And I saw this girl grabbing her. I thought they were playing. And then I heard Cindy, her sister, yell that Angel, they're trying to take her.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
So when I walked out, I seen that girl, Erica, pick Nicole up, one arm around her stomach, one arm around her neck, and was running backwards to the car and threw her in the car. And she was yelling and screaming. And when she tried to get out of the car again, that girl pushed her back inside and closed the door. And her sister came in front and stood of the car, and her aunt tried to run her over. Her husband came and stood in front of the car, and one of my wife's friends came and stood in front of the car. And I opened the passenger door and asked, why were they doing this? What are they doing? And she's just yelling and screaming and crying.
Object. Okay. Withdraw.
One of my aunts came and got me and pulled me away from the car. And she told me just to relax, don't.
Objection, hearsay.
Okay.
Sustained.
I'm the one that called the police. I called them and I told them what happened. 3 police officers showed up. They still had her in the car. And when they came and talked to me, they asked me if me.
Objection, hearsay.
Okay. If me and Michelle were legally married. And I said, yes.
Your Honor, objection to hearsay.
Sustained. Don't tell me what the officers asked you or any of that. Just tell me what happened.
I explained that we were legally married. Her father was deceased also. And they told me, okay.
Objection to hearsay.
I was the legal guardian when he found out that I was legally married to Michelle and how old Nicole was.
Your Honor, my concern here is that I'm making these objections and the court's sustaining them. And Mr. Gomez is just continuing with his hearsay statement.
Wait for the next question, Mr. Gomez.
Okay, I was there, so it's not hearsay.
No, just to answer the question that's asked. If the court sustains the objection, that means stop talking and wait for the next question.
Okay.
Mr. Udi, your witness.
Did the police officer get Nicole out of the car?
Yes.
Is it very important to you that you become Nicole's conservator and father?
Yes.
Are you asking the court today to have them name you as the primary conservator of the child?
Yes.
No further questions.
All right, Mr. Hunt?
Mr. Gomez, who else was in the car with you when Nicole was driving?
My daughter,
And what was her name?
Ashley
And
Gomez,
how old is she?
9.
Okay. And you stated that somebody grabbed Nicole, correct?
Yes.
That person was not Miss Valdez, correct?
No.
You stated that somebody moved the car, correct?
Yes.
That person driving was not Miss Valdez, correct?
No.
You stated that, leave it at that. Does Nicole have a Facebook account?
No.
Okay. And was anybody arrested despite your testimony that somebody tried to run somebody else over? Was anybody arrested that day?
I asked them not to.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustain.
Was anybody arrested that day?
No.
Okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Udi?
Just one further question. Did you ever see Mrs. Valdez grab or hold your daughter? I mean, your stepdaughter?
Yes.
And how was she holding her?
They were holding her in the back seat.
And
The girl that grabbed her had her by her neck, and her grandma was like,
Non-responsive.
Sustain.
did her grandmother ever grab her or hold her?
yes.
No further questions.
Mr. Hunt?
No questions, Judge.
All right, Mr. Hunt, you may call your next witness.
We will rest, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Udi, it's now your case in chief. If you'd like to call any witnesses, you may do so at this time.
Your Honor, if I could amend my previous statement, we would rest subject to proving up attorney's fees.
Okay. So, Mr. Udi, any witnesses you'd like to call in your case in chief?
Cynthia Camacho.
Ms. Camacho, you're still under oath. If you would please unmute for me. You're going to be called as a witness at this time.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Udi, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Cynthia, do you go by Cynthia or Cindy?
Either or.
Either or?
Yeah.
Michelle Gomez was your mother, correct?
Yes.
And how well do you know Nicole?
Very well. How long or how well?
How well?
Oh, very well.
And how long have you had frequent visits with Nicole?
It was very frequent, very.
And when did those start?
Well, since before my mother passed, it was when, I was able to. And after she passed, it's a lot more frequent than it used to be. So, I mean, it just started a few weeks ago.
On the day of her service, did Nicole ever go inside the funeral home?
No,
How long had she been there?
we had been there for maybe like 5 minutes.
And tell me what you saw when this lady named Erica escorted Nicole to the car.
It was okay. So Miss Valdez and Erica had gotten out of the car, and they had told Nicole that they wanted to show her something. So the grandma went back to the car, Miss Valdez, and Erica snatched Nicole and was running with her to the car.
Was she running backwards with her or frontwards with her?
She was running forward. She was running towards the car, and she was
Okay.
trying to put her into the car.
And did you actually see her put Nicole in the car?
Yes.
And how would you characterize that, as her picking her up off the ground and putting her in the car?
Yeah, she picked her up from the ground and she ran off with her towards the car. Nicole, I believe she did get away for maybe like a second or two, and then Erica grabbed her by her neck and proceeded to put her into the car.
What did you do next?
I immediately told my husband to run after her once I heard my sister yelling for help. And then I ran with him, and I got in front of the car, and so did my husband and another woman. So they weren't able to take off with her.
Did who showed up in front of the car first?
It was my husband.
And did they try to move the car forward to get him out of the way?
Yes, and also when I was in front of the vehicle too. Ms. Valdez's daughter, Maria Prasad, was trying to run us over.
Did they actually make contact with you with the car?
Yes.
Do you stay with Nicole sometimes while her stepdad is at work?
Yes.
And how often would you say that?
It had just recently started when Nicole was on break. I did go over there and I did watch her from, I would get up like at 5. So from 5 in the morning till Angel got home. Or Mr. Gomez, I'm sorry.
And how many children do you have?
I have 8 of my own, but in
You
the
have
home
how
I
many?
only have 1.
I'm sorry?
I have 8 children.
8
but
children?
Yes, but only one stays with me. It's the baby.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good Lord. One of the other questions I'd have for you would be hearsay, so I appreciate your honest answers, and I pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hunt or Ms. Bortowski, any questions of this witness?
I do, Your Honor, just briefly. Can you hear me, Ms. Camacho?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Have you spoken with Mr. Gomez about today's hearing?
Yeah, I just know that it was today and that I was going to be
Okay.
a witness.
Have you spoken to him after what happened at the viewing? Did you talk with him
Yes.
about what happened?
Yes.
Okay. And are you friends with Mr. Gomez on Facebook?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, does he make posts about drugs and drug paraphernalia?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. Have you ever seen Mr. Gomez use drugs?
No.
Okay. And you told the police that a car made contact with you while somebody was driving?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, no arrests were made, correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Udi, any additional questions of this witness?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Camacho, for coming in today. You are excused. You may leave the meeting or you may stay with us, whatever you prefer.
Okay, I'll stay.
All right, Mr. Udi, you may call your next witness.
I have no other witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, respondent rest as well. Any rebuttal witnesses, Mr. Hunt?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'd like to meet with Nicole, and we need to make arrangements to do that. Let's go off the record while we do this. Mr. Udi and Mr. Hunt, this is the child's, I guess, second day at this new school. So I'm thinking tomorrow might be the best day. If Mr. Gomez, if you can make arrangements to have her here at the courthouse at 4 o'clock. So you need to get her out around 3:15, 3:30 so that you can get her here by 4. They don't normally take more than an hour. I mean, typically it's going to take 30 to 45 minutes for the interview, but sometimes they go longer, sometimes they're shorter. But I think if I at least have an hour, that will give me sufficient time to do the interview. Both sides can email the court coordinator a list of topics or questions that you would like for me to cover with Nicole. And I will normally cover all of those topics. And I like to get those a little bit ahead of the meeting. So, don't send them to me at 3:55, because sometimes I'll plan out how I want to approach a certain topic with her. So if y'all can get those in by like noon tomorrow, that would be great. And then I'll interview her at 4. As far as the ruling, typically I rule from the bench, but since I need to interview her, my thought is what I can do is interview her, and then I guess I could have the parties appear. David, you be all right with that? What I'll do is, because I don't know what I'm doing yet until I interview the child. So what I'll do is I'll have Mr. Gomez, you're going to be transporting her here, but Miss Valdez, I'll want you at the courthouse as well. And I'll have a bailiff here. So what I'll do is Dad, or stepdad, you'll be, Mr. Gomez, you'll be in the hallway, and I'll have I'll have one of our bailiffs in the courtroom, and Miss Valdez, you will actually come into the courtroom. And then once I'm done with the interview, I'll bring everybody in. And the lawyers, if you want to appear by Zoom, I'm fine with that, if that'd be easier on y'all. So y'all don't physically have to be in the courtroom. And we'll do kind of a hybrid ruling. So I'll come on to my Zoom meeting. I'll have the parties here, the child will be here, and I'll give you my ruling at that time. Does that make sense? Are there any questions about the logistics that either of you have? Oh, well, let me say this too. You don't have to send topics and questions to the court. I've heard the evidence, and I kind of know what I want to ask Nicole. But that being said, I'm just inviting you to do that. If you don't send me questions or topics, that's okay. I'm not expecting those, but if you do want them, just make sure you get them in by lunch tomorrow.
Judge, would we send those just to Ms. Gaeta?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
Annie Gaeta.
And Your Honor, is the court, will the court rule on the motion for standard drug testing today, or is the court going to wait on that?
So I will wait until I have talked to Nicole, but I do have an admission that there was marijuana usage not around the child, but there was marijuana usage. So I'm going to table that until after I talk to Nicole. It may be that I require that prior to making a ruling, but I'll decide that tomorrow.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, anything further from either side?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll
No,
see.
Your Honor.
Mr. Gomez, Ms. Valdez, we'll see you here at 4:00. There's bailiffs all over this courthouse. I don't want any of the stuff that happened December 15th. Everybody needs to be on their best behavior. I'm very upset that this young child got exposed to all that when she's dealing with the loss of her mother. And I understand everybody's trying to get, protect themselves and get a leg up maybe on the legal stuff, but there is no way that activity that happened on the 15th was in Nicole's best interest. And I'm not going to put up with any of that. So unless you want to see the inside of a Fort Bend County jail, everybody, that's both sides and any other parties that you bring with you, are going to behave themselves when they come into the courtroom. That completes this portion of the hearing. We'll see y'all back here at 4:00 tomorrow.